Welcome to another episode of the Making of Champions, Season 5. I'm your host, Coach Tyree Price. And today, man, I've been trying to get this guy on forever. This man right here, he is a man who's done so much great things in his career of coaching as a stellar athlete at Southern University in the long jump and in the sprints. Went on to have a professional career. Came back to his alma mater to be the head track and field coach at Southern University. Went on to do, which we're going to talk about other areas, but now is the director of track and field cross country at Louisiana Tech University. Coach Brian Johnson, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm sorry it took so long for me to get on, but I am here. I am excited, so I'm happy to be a part of your show.
Thank you. Man, we've been talking at so many meets and everything about the just track and field itself, and then the dimensions of getting into this sport, elevating ourselves up. Man, you started off at Southern University under the guidance of which coach?
Johnny Thomas.
The great Johnny Thomas, late Johnny Thomas. Man, you've set the site. I've been watching you from afar, watching you as an athlete perform at the highest level at the national championships, going on to represent the United States. How was that transition from going from the HBCU experience as an athlete to the highest level at nationals, and then going to represent the United States?
Well, I think my coach, the late great Johnny Thomas, I think he prepared me. So like he put me in situations that I was going to have to respond in, such as, going to a meet like Texas Relays. We all know the caliber of meet of that. Being able to do multiple events there just kind of prepared me for what was going to be at stake for me once I finished college, and, how hard the pros really work in order to be good these days. And, being able to be at that meet and see pros and, in the back watching them warm up and, things like that helped me, guided me to where I am today.
Well, we're going on to have a stellar career on the professional circuit, countless ventures out there. Then you come back to Southern University, and you take over the program, right? How did that happen?
Well, so most people don't know I was a volunteer. Once I got done with track at Southern, I was a little bit undecided if I wanted to go and pursue basketball overseas or if I wanted to do track. Coach Thomas ended up convincing me that track would be my best option. So I was an assistant coach there for about like maybe 8 years. So I was always affiliated with the program, but just in a assistant coach's role, just helping him out whenever I was home and I was there, not competing myself on a professional level. But interesting story, they named an interim when Coach T finally passed. Like he passed and he passed it on to an assistant coach that was already there, but they just named her interim. And then the next year went by and they named her interim again. And, I guess word got around is that they wanted me to take over the job once I was done competing. And I think my career was coming to an end. Coach Boo Sheck Snyder, who was coaching me, was on his way out. So I didn't want to be coached by anybody else. So I just went into this, and it helped me spend more time with my family. And that's how I got the job. They put the job interim for 3 years waiting on me to take over. And I took over not knowing any rules, anything about being a head coach. And it was a good learning lesson for me to start off at my alma mater where I knew everybody already. So I think that was a plus and helped me with my success, is that I just knew everybody. Southern's like a huge family, and it just helped mold me to be courageous and, go out there and try. After 4 years, taking a program from 0 points to finishing second on my my last year there. So I had an awesome time there at Southern.
Well, they knew, I guess the administration knew that there was something special in you, so they waited that long to bring you aboard in that capacity of being the head coach over there. But then you move on. You get your chance at the Power Five rankings of going to UGA.
Right.
And how was that dynamic for you? You know, because not many people I want the audience to understand this. To be a HBCU athlete and graduate, and then to come back to coach at a HBCU is your initial stop. It's hard. It is not many people make it through to get to that next level of coaching and to go from that level to go to assistant job at SEC Power Five. You know, that's a tremendous accomplishment. And I'm sure that they saw a lot of great things in how you develop your program there, the recruiting standpoint. So how did you transition from Southern University to UGA?
Well, I guess another funny story. Coach Norton, Wayne Norton, was the head coach there, and when I first got to Southern, I always wanted to get to the Power Five. So I emailed him and was like, "Hey, I would love to be a part of your staff." He emailed me very quickly back, stating that like his staff was full and best of luck, and he would keep an eye on me. So my second year there, I emailed him the same thing, and he emailed me right back. So I did that my third year, and then the fourth year, I did that, and they actually had a coach leave, which was John Stewart. And so I emailed him, and he emailed me back and said, "Sir, you're not even in my top five. So, but I will, consider you. Maybe we could have a chat and just kind of go from there." But I was persistent because that was something that I wanted. So I just kept emailing him back, and he was like, "All right, I'll just bring you on a visit." And from there, I guess I did enough to join the staff. And I mean, when I got there, I was eager to learn. I mean, they had coaches like George Clare, who is now part of my staff.
Mhm.
Petros was there too. So I learned a lot from Coach Norton, how to recruit, how to manage Power Five budget. Uh, and he just taught me a different way of how to do things and what to look for in athletes that will help me whenever I do start coaching to be successful. So I learned a lot, just the ins and outs. I didn't do much coaching there, which, now that I look back on was probably needed for me because like Coach Norton taught me how to recruit, where to go, what athletes to look for, what athletes not to look for. And I think that year of experience that I had really helped me moving forward in my career.
Well, then they had a change of the guard at UGA. Yeah, you ushered out of that era. Then you go on to another. If I'm correctly, you went to another SWAC school in
Yeah.
Alcorn State and became the head coach there. And again, developed athletes to great standing in the conference and going on to represent in the regional areas. How was that of going back to the SWAC but not being at your alma mater?
Oh, it was tough at first because I'm a Jag. I think I'm gonna always be a Jag. That's my father was a Jaguar, so like it was tough. But when I got released from Georgia, we got released in August. So it's not many jobs that was available, and there was one Division I job available, and it was Alcorn. So I was either going to keep coaching or I was going to get out of coaching. And so I just took a kind of chance on myself to see what I could do. And if anybody knows anything about Alcorn, it is in the country. It's 7 miles away from like I would say civilization. So like, but I took it. I ended up taking that program from last all the way to third. I had kids go to regionals from there. So I just think being at a HBCU in the beginning, it teaches you. You might not have all of what's needed in order to be successful, but you just got to be creative. Man, I did things of putting mattresses together and making a high jump bed. Me and Coach Glover, that's now at the University of Houston, we put milk crates down, put mattresses on there, and made a high jump bed. So like we were creative, which was good times for me. And I learned from all of those situations.
Well, you know, the creative person in you, developing the student athletes, you are known as a developer of talent. You know, you've taken people, even up to this date, people who are lesser known, and you put them to the forefront. And some people have not been able to duplicate those same accolades that you produce with student athletes. What makes you so special in developing your program?
And I think I got a lot of help from the first person that I could say like super really mentored me was probably Mike Ford at Baylor.
Mm.
He gave me a year worth of workouts, which is hard for college coaches to do nowadays, but he just gave it to me. Any questions that I had, he explained. And then I read books. And then I watched kind of like how Usain Bolt trained and uh, just tried to come up with my own model of how I do things compared to how everybody else do things. So, but Mike Ford was super instrumental in helping me, become the sprint coach that I am today.
So you developed the program at Alcorn State. You've had your success with a lot of arrays of the sprints and the jumps at every stop that you've been. Gone on to learn the recruiting of the Power Five level and how to identify even for that caliber of athletes to come in and what's going to be right for the program. So as you transition out of Alcorn State, I want to say the next step was at New Orleans.
New Orleans,
You know,
yes.
and so you go there and man, you take it by storm because I see you at the national championships. You got people in the 100. You got so many people just doing well, and I'm like, well, when's this guy going to get another Power Five job? You know, and which is well deserved from for all that you've done and all that you've learned and all that you applied and the people you develop. You go to New Orleans and back closer to home, towards Southern, but yet you are able to really put into that program something that wasn't done before. How did you? What was your mindset going into developing that program, and what you learn took from the Power Five and from the SWAC schools to come into that program?
Well, I think I live by the motto, all you need is one. You need one athlete to believe in you. And so like everywhere I've gone, I've always had one sprinter, male or female, just to believe in me. And I just think it just kind of spreads like wildfire. When I first got there, I moved there from leaving Alcorn because I was married for 13 years, got divorced, and I was still in Mississippi. And I wanted to be closer to my kids who lived like in the Zachary, Baton Rouge area. And I thought that that would be a great opportunity for me to be 50 minutes away from them and be able to get on the interstate and go see them more than what I was doing. But I ended up getting 100-meter guy, and then that 100-meter guy turned into two. And then GB, which is Tyrone Egger, but we call him GB. He had an athlete that was transferring out, and he was like, I don't think no one else can deal with him but you. And so he gave him to me. He told me what the pros and cons were, and I took him. And man, he kind of just set my program on fire for me. I had that kid running 10 O's, 9 nines, and it just helped me move into where I am today, which is Louisiana Tech. So I just try to build on that, being good to people, trying to build as many relationships as I can, and helping people any way that I can. So, and I guess the good Lord has just been blessing me in that area. And now I'm here at Louisiana Tech, and I took a transfer from Kentucky who was running like 1040s and making it to regionals, but not really doing anything to his first year with me. running under 10 and making internationals in an individual event. So I don't know what it is about the 100. I was a long jumper, but I ran the 100. But for me, the 100 challenges me uh, because being a 27-foot long jumper, sometimes you could get caught up into like, man, 24 feet, it's easy. But the 100 meters, it challenges me, keeps me on my toes. And I'm in love with that event, one and two. I'm in love with it.
Well, now how do you see yourself moving that program at Louisiana Tech even to the higher stratosphere of um, being that top 5 program to being to try to be a top one, the number 1 program in the nation?
Well, I think it's about just getting athletes to believe in what you do. So a lot of high school athletes, and I might get killed for saying this, they see Power Five and they think that's the only way to go. Well, I was a product of a small school. I won nationals from a small school, and now I'm at a mid major, and I've been able to do it there. So we just try to build on one athlete at a time. Our goal this for next year is to be ranked in the top 25. We don't know how we're going to get there, but we're just going to keep recruiting good athletes until I feel like we have enough athletes to help us be ranked in the top 25. But we have a good recruiting class last year. We have one this year so far. It's been going really, really good. We just hope to build on that.
When you talk about recruits, so recruiting is a stalemate for any program to sustain the success. How has recruiting really been beneficial to you, and kind of what do you attribute to, or since you got those different realms of knowledge from the Power Five and HBCU, how you intertwine those things to get the right athlete there?
Man, I think it starts with your coaching staff. So like I have George Clare on my staff and he's a Caribbean guru. So anything that I see that is in the Caribbean, he can find for me in 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes. I'm pretty good in the States and being able to locate people in the States just from, being a pro athlete, having a ton of connections, it just kind of benefits. But I've learned that an athlete works best with your type of training style. So like if you're a coach that does well, let's say with taller sprinters, then your model, you should be trying to find taller sprinters that fit your model. So for me, I have like a set of criteria that I look for. And if that athlete fits it, male or female, then we do our best to try to figure out how we can get that athlete to call Louisiana home uh, for 4 years.
So what's so special about Louisiana Tech?
I think Louisiana Tech is a very safe space. Far as like, man, it's everyone knows everyone. I would consider it a college town. It pretty much has everything except for two things that I need, which is uh, there's a mall that's about 30 minutes away, and there's no Whole Foods. But everything else they have here. So like the people are supportive. The AD who hired me, he was someone that knew track, knew about it. And if he didn't know, he pretended to know, but he was supportive. And I think for us, just having an AD come to practice and laugh and joke with your kids is a good atmosphere. So for us, we try to build on that. We try to build on customer service and having a good atmosphere for our kids, uh, and put them in competitions to go against the P5s all the time. So like we try to put our kids in situations where they could be equipped and ready to go once regionals comes around and once national comes around. So I just think Louisiana Tech is just a really good home environment where you can grow. So,
Well, you talked about the staff a little bit. So how was it? What was the main component of what you were looking for when you were assembling your staff to create a atmosphere of championships?
Well, this might seem crazy, but I wanted some people that knew more than me. Like, I wanted to hire somebody and I wasn't scared. Like, I hired George Clare, and George Clare is older than me, been doing it a lot longer than me. But like, since Georgia, we had a great bond or whatever. So like, I could bounce ideas off of him. We're a brotherhood. So like, I'm not scared about him trying to take my job or anything of the sort. Like, we work very well together. We're on the track all the time. We're pretty much together off the track all the time. So it's just it was a good brotherhood. So that's the reason why I chose him. Coach Rodell was, and this the throws coach, he was killing it at JUCO. So like, he was getting really good athletes, and his recruiting, getting those athletes there was to me instrumental. And I felt like if I got him here, he could do the same way. Whereas my distance coach was young, but fiery, loved the recruit, uh, will go after anybody. So I was like, I gotta have that on my staff. So like, us four is what we use, but we recruit for every event. So it doesn't matter. I recruit distance, she recruits sprints, like, and we just kind of go from there. So we've just made like a family to where there's no animosity. And if one person does well, we all do well.
Well, how do you cope with things off the track? And how do you separate yourself, separate the job versus personal life?
Man, as coaches, especially as a head coach, you don't get much time. But I think off the track, my kids. So I've been blessed that my oldest son is here, and he's actually a long jumper and a triple jumper for my program. So if I'm not doing anything track related, I'm hanging around him, bugging him, and then I have a young son who plays basketball. So like, I'm there at his game. So I'm constantly taking trips to Baton Rouge. And then my daughter is a really, really good sprinter. So like, I want to say she was ranked in the top 15 in the country as a sophomore,
Mm.
as a freshman. So I'm in daddy mode. So I get right out of coach mode, right into daddy mode, and then go right back into coach mode.
Okay. So, as you're building the program there at Tech, what do you feel that, how do you go past the challenges and move forward and take the mindset from the athletes from what you don't have and focus them on to the prize of what you're trying to get to?
Uh, I just set goals for myself, and I think I'm relentless in that,
Mhm.
which is you could tell me no, but I'm gonna figure out a way to get around the no. So, which is like, if we have a problem here at La Tech where it's something that they have been doing for years, uh, I am going to try to figure out a way to be like, well, why don't we do those things? Or is it possible to do those things? And I think that's probably at the end of the day is going to contribute to the success of what we hear. Like, we had a small international thing where we didn't help the kids with taxes, which some schools do and some schools don't. We chose not to. So for me to be a successful program, I needed to be able to figure out a way for my kids to pay taxes, or for the school to aid in that. Man, it took me a year, but I got it done. And so like, now that opens up, Coach Claire to go and grab Caribbean kids before the big schools uh get on them. So like, it's been a good career so far. We play Russian roulette sometimes, which all coaches do for us. But man, I love where I'm at this moment. So I do have bigger dreams. Uh, I'm a guy that likes to push myself, and I want to get to the top one day. I want to be able to be like like Mouse. Mouse is killing it, or whatever. Our Coach Green at Kentucky killing it. Our Coach Henry that have won so many championships, killing it. Our coach Edric at Texas killing it. So like, I want to one day, wear those shoes and try to get to the mountaintop, which we call it, and be a dominant coach just like those coaches are dominant coaches.
Do you find it hard to get into that realm?
Yes, it is. I mean, I find it hard, but I'm up for the challenge. So like I just feel like if I keep working hard, keep trying to do things, that someone will be crazy enough to help me accomplish a goal of mine at some point in my life. So I'm 44 now. By many, I'm probably considered super young, but I am going to try to push the envelope. And one day, somebody is going to be like, "Man, I'm going to give him a chance at such and such school and just see what he could get done." Because every school I've been at, I've been able to be successful at. So, like, hopefully, my wherever the good Lord needs me, I'll try to be successful there too as well.
I'm sure the opportunities are going to come, but I'm sure Louisiana Tech wants to keep you there. But
Yeah.
I'm sure that opportunities are going to open themselves up to you. You're a great coach. You learn how to establish a staff. You learn how to follow the rules and regulations. And seeing all of the things. And you're a great developer of talent. So I imagine, know if you had talent that's already up on the upper echelon, how much more they can get better in their craft. So now when you're dealing with your athletes, a lot of things for them to buy into the program, there has to be a good coach athlete relationship. How do you develop your coach athlete relationship?
Well, I think I take it a step further and get to know who they are, and not so much as an athlete. Cause like I want to know what do you do when you're not a track athlete? So I always often ask the question, if you wasn't running track, what would you be doing? Uh, and just kind of go from there. So I ask questions like, you find out interesting things. People like are crafty. People sew. People do lashes. People could do hair really well. So like people cut hair. It's all kind of things that you don't know. People draw. People could sing, people could dance. So like I try to take it a step further and not just be your coach, but also be like a mentor you, as well as being able to coach you too as well. So I tell you, hey, I've been down that path. That ain't a path that you want to go on. So like we just try to take it a step further here and just get to know them more than just, hey, I need you to run 11, 20, and 100. So like I just feel like if you could establish that type of relationship, then it's a lot easier to train kids and get them to buy into what you're doing.
Would you consider yourself a athlete's coach? Because I've seen some pictures and you're having fun. You see the smile with the athletes and yourself. I see that you're engaged with them. So would you consider yourself that, or would you say, well, I'm more of an X's and O's type coach?
Oh no, I'm a athlete's coach. Like we we have fun. So like it's not all serious with us. So like I mean, I've learned which battles to fight and which battles not to fight. Like, let's just say, like, if they want to play music at practice, it's not an everyday thing. But if it's a day where we're sprinting hard and they want to get into it, I'm that coach to be like, hey, as long as it ain't nothing crazy, let's get it and let's go. So yeah, I like to joke, but my athletes also know that like when it's game time, I'm in game mode. So, but yeah, we mix it up. We don't just it ain't just all X's and O's over here. We have fun.
Well, what would you want the audience to know about Brian Johnson, the individual and the coach?
The coach, uh, that I'm a hard worker, that I have huge dreams and I'm going to do everything in my everything possible to make those dreams come true. The person, I'm a down home country boy. Uh that is just passionate about life, a family man, try to be the best dad that I could be to my kids. So I'm just a regular person. So I'm just trying to do things out of the ordinary, which is things that have never been done.
Well, this is part of the show where we're trying to give you an opportunity to give shout outs to people who have been inspirational in your career? I know you hit a couple of people a little bit earlier, but if you can expand upon some of those coaches, family members, who has brought you to the forefront of where you are today and where you're aspiring to be?
Well, first I gotta start off with my parents. So my dad is very, very passionate. Like once you start something, you gotta finish. So I think my dad just instilling that into me whenever I was younger, helped me. And then once I got to college, Johnny Thomas, even though he's not here anymore, uh, he put a fire in us, even as a an athlete of his, that like you don't just settle for no. And like if you want something, you got to work hard for it. And I live by the motto that I'm only one yes away. So I'm gonna get a ton of no's. I might get 1,000 no's, but the next one might be a yes, and that's just kind of like how I live. So, and I mean, my kids, I think that's my inspiration too, as well. So, and I have a girlfriend who is very supportive. I mean, she was with me shooting in the gym when I was at my lows. She was there when I'm at my highs. She was there. So, Wendy Raven has been a good part. George Clare, me and George Clare are best friends. Tremaine White, the head coach at Southern. Jimmy Joseph, who is now at LSU. Boo Snyder, who has taught me how to develop an eye in coaching. So like it's been so many people. I could go on and on. Chris Johnson is probably instrumental for me to get this job. He's the head coach at Arkansas for the women. I was unsure about coming to Louisiana Tech, and he gave me some very choice words about moving forward. So I just said it's a lot. Like for me, man, it's probably taken a village to help me get to where I'm at. Wayne Norton for taking a chance on me and bringing me to Georgia. I was at the SWAC. It's not that often that you see a SWAC coach move straight up to the Power Five in the SEC. So even though I only lasted 10 months, those 10 months was instrumental in helping me become the coach that I have. It's so many people, but those are the people that come like to mind right away.
But what of advice for that you can give out to young coaches, old coaches, like that you brought you success and it keeps you motivated and keep you going, that you can impart upon those coaches out there?
Keep grinding. You never know when it's going to be your day. That's always been my motto. When coaches ask me like how I got to where I'm at, I just say I'm just grinding. I don't take no for an answer, uh, and I just grind away. So that's the advice that I give to everybody. Like look at Jimmy. Jimmy Joseph started as a volunteer for me at Southern, and then he became assistant coach. Then he became a head coach at JUCO. Then he became an assistant coach. And then he became a head coach. Then he went back to an assistant at Southern Miss. And look where he's at now. He's at a Power Five doing something that he loves to do. So, like, you just have to keep working. So that's the biggest thing. Even though it's hard, and sometimes you see other people getting their blessings and you haven't felt like you've gotten yours. You just got to keep your head down and keep working. At some point, you will get what the good Lord has for you. That's the advice that I tell everybody.
Man, well, you're well on your way. I'm sure that a lot of coaches are going to be looking at this like, hey, we need to bring this guy in, or hopefully some ADs will be looking at this like, this guy is a good representation of what we want in our program. And you said before, it's not an egotistical thing. It's like you're still there to learn from other people at the same time, that imparting some knowledge that you have into the situation, you know. I've been there, I've seen it, and I've been blessed with different things happening my way, and I'm thankful for the people that have been in my life to help me do those things. And I just know through our conversations, man, I see a whole bunch more in you, man, and I know it's coming. I know it's coming.
Man,
And Louisiana Tech is going to try to have to fork out some more of that money to try to keep you.
yes, they are. So I mean, I hope, man. I pray. Anybody that I could touch or can help me, I'm truly grateful. So like, I don't think that I know everything. I'm willing to learn. I just want to be an asset wherever I go.
Wow. You've been an asset to me. I'm glad that we can always conversate at any time. I'm glad I can get you on the show and really showcase who you are, what you're about, and all the success that people may not know about you and what
Right.
you have accomplished. We want to make sure we put that out. This is it's the making of champions. It's not just about you being a champion. It's how do you go about the process of becoming a championship program, championship team member, a championship-minded coach, and that's what it's all about. And you embody all those sentiments here. And I'm just so glad that you were able to come on the show, impart this knowledge on to everyone else. Let everybody take notice of who you are and what you're about, and be weary and be aware that this man is coming after you. In those
I
sprints,
am.
as a program, not even just in the sprints and stuff, as a program, as a head guy over his program, he's developing his coaching staff and developing his flair for the sport, his love for the sport, and it's been seen through from an athlete up to the assistant coach to a head coach. He's that man is out there. So again, this is another episode of the Making of Champions, Season 5. Coach Brian Johnson, the head coach, director of cross country track and field there at Louisiana Tech. So happy to be a part of the program, man. I wish you nothing but love and nothing but success moving forward.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you having me, man. You're doing an awesome job with this podcast that you got, man. I'm here to support you any way I can. And again, thank you for having me on. Sorry it took so long, but I'm glad we got it done.
True, true, true. Y'all want everyone out there to like, share, and support the program, support Coach Brian Johnson out there. Watch what he's doing, watch his athletes perform, watch his program move up in the rankings. We're out. Peace.
Peace.